Hello. Testing. Testing. Testing my mind. And a temporary setup. A temporary setup here. So I don't expect anybody to come in. I am always on the run. And you're looking at the worst backspace setup here. But that's the way it's happening. I'm really doing this as a tech test because I'm in a new studio space and I'm trying to figure out my tech stuff. And I go, hey, might as well try to do a quick stream. I don't have much time today. There's a couple transits this week. There's a new moon on Tuesday. Talk about that when I can. But really, I'm testing the sound. This isn't permanent what you're seeing behind me. The lighting isn't permanent, but I just needed to do this. I already had 2 crashes trying to start this, by the way, which is on my list now of doing things. Hey, Canada Dry. Good to see you in chat. Let me know if you hear and see things correctly. I'll be looking at chat here. And let me get some going here. I'm going to wait a little bit until I start the new moon forecast. I also want to talk about another transit that's happening tomorrow on Monday that we should be paying attention to. I got to pop this out on me here. But it looks like visually it's working. Yeah, so say what's up to me in chat. Let me know how things sound. Again, this is a kind of a test stream. And we're going to do it that way today. Lots going on my end with transitions. So I've been laying low. I pulled the videos off last week. You can. Most of the people who watch me are subscribers. I want you to know that if you subscribe to my channel, you have to hit that bell to know when I go live. I see the percentages that happens on like who watches my stream, non-followers, followers, all that. And so I'm going to be working on that the next 2 months, as in putting out more regular videos and not live streams. But also, if you're ringing the bell, you're Canada Dry. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Thanks for the donation. GME and Scorpio Muse, good to see you. K Michelle, I had to unsubscribe and resubscribe to get your notifications. Yeah, it's always a thing with YouTube creators talking to the YouTube people about this. It's always weird. There's a couple channels that YouTube has, actually. One is the creator channel, which they put out 2 videos a week, and you could see what they're always working on. And their analytics and channel that just isn't my permanent look here to back. I had to do something to cover things up. Everything is scattered in my life in boxes, but I needed to do this to make sure the mic is coming through and all that, and this stuff like this. Yes, that's what's up. Okay, so I'm only going to talk about 2 things today and not have the biggest stream because of the test. One has to do with the new moon that happens in Taurus on Tuesday, at least Pacific time, and something that happens tomorrow. There's actually several things that are happening as always, but we got moon and Aries still here. And this past weekend here, while we're doing the weekend, for those of you in other hemispheres, hey, Darlene, good to see you in chat there. But no, we've had the moon in Aries. And basically this weekend in the moon way, we've had the moon pretty much touch over the Mercury retrograde cycle that happened in Aries. The nodal story, the eclipse story, has been the moon in Aries since from North Node. Actually, let me pull this chart up right now for you. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it does. So we have the moon conjunct the North Node. You could see it right here, right there. This 15-degree place. Hello, Cosmic Supermarket. Good morning. You see, I was referencing people in other parts of the world, and here is a person living in the future. Tell us what happens in the future, by the way. Going to do. Do I wake up again tomorrow? Anyway, so I want to know if my soccer team's going to win tonight. But I don't think you're going to know that. So that's what's up when you look up on the screen here. So this 15-degree moon conjunct Aries nodal thing is huge because, and it just happened an hour ago. And again, for those affected by the eclipse who have been, this weekend is, I think, on a raw emotional level, showing what has happened in that story. And we're almost a month, because on April 8th is when the eclipse happened. We're May 5th into the 6th here. We're pretty much there, like a month later. And so much has happened. Doesn't it seem that way? Like just from the seasons changing to your own personal life or whatever. So the moon here is touching this 15-degree nodal place, right? And then it does it several hours later here. It's like, 7 hours later here that we're going to have the moon and Mercury and Chiron, as you could see here. These went through Saturn and Neptune, Mars, node, moon, or here in a bit, or excuse me, not moon, but the moon is moving through those places. And the moon's been bringing all this storyline from the planets beforehand, like all of the Venus and Mars have done, and a lot of other, and Mercury have done, and will do here since March, really, when Mercury went into Aries, and then we had all the transits going through the Pisces planets, So we're doing this Pisces Aries thing. Obviously, there's the Taurus thing, which I'm digging, but here's the moon here touching the node, Mercury and Chiron, all within 7 to 8 hours here. So saying that, James Sanders, greetings to you. GME says, I'm still crying. Well, keep going until you're done, is a good way to deal with this, because basically we get into tomorrow on Pacific time, May 6th here. Mind you, I didn't plan any of this. I decided to do this an hour ago, and I looked at the charts for I'm just like, I'll do it on the fly. So we'll go into the next day. This is here. I think I hit it just right. This is here on May 6th, Monday. Look, you're looking here just right there, pretty much at 2:42 p.m. Pacific. The moon went into Taurus, goes into Taurus here. After all the movements that it made through Aries, very raw, very sensitive through Aries, very cardinal. Let's not forget about this. I think at this point, people are processing things still from the eclipse world, the Mercury cycle retrograde thing with Aries. I get it, but I think a lot's happened in a month where things have been more than initiated. And I think the moon here pushes that even more. So when we get into Taurus, we get into the moon in Taurus, we could say we're officially in a balsamic moon phase, even though I feel like we're in that place right now today as I'm doing the stream, especially when we get closer to Chiron here within 7 to 8 hours. Even though the moon's going to be in Aries, we have that it's in a balsamic place. I look at it as like 30 degrees away from the lunation. So you see the lunations happening here at 16 degrees ish, right? 16, 17. We'll get to that. But hold on. That's some balsamic. Actually, this is balsamic. It's very mantra-ish. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we want a balsamic moon phase. We want to chill and rest up and contemplate and go into finishing the cycle. Remember, when we had the last balsamic thing happened was right before the eclipse on April 8th, right? So, we think about what's happened since that balsamic moon phase till now, and it's huge, bigger than a lot of the other situations, at least since the last eclipses in the fall. So balsamic is where we are. And how we're looking at this chart here on the Monday, my Pacific time, moon goes into Taurus. I'm going to set this up in a certain way. Dora Destroy, good to see you, my unicorn. What's up? We're looking right now at the screen at the top here, and we see Moon, Venus, Sun, Uranus, Jupiter, and Taurus. Okay, got the first Taurus moon here now in a sense. since the Taurus birthdays have started. Okay. Obviously, you know, and remember that we had a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction at 21 degrees. It's still around, okay? And we always look to see where Venus is. And we're always paying attention to where Mars is. Like I said, I made those 2 videos last week. Mars in Aries, Venus in Taurus, the rule in the notes too, okay? Also, let's just break it down really quick. What's ruling Saturn in Pisces? Jupiter. Jupiter's in Taurus. What's ruling Jupiter in Taurus? Venus at home in her domicile of Taurus, okay? Now, let's start over. What's ruling the Mercury going forward out of the retrograde and the Chiron in a node? Well, right now, finally, it's Mars in Aries. It's domicile, right? So everything is ending up here when we do dispositorship for the most part. I don't know what that means. Look it up. But basically, we follow the rulers of certain things that we see, like I just did. Like, oh, hey, Mercury in Aries, right? It's ruled by Mars. We go to Mars. And then we find the final dispositor, right? Mars is in Aries. What rules Aries? Mars. We can't go any further, right? We're doing the same thing here. We're doing the same thing with anything. We'll pick the Sun in Taurus, right? It's ruled by Venus. Venus in Taurus. What rules Taurus? Venus. Stop. Final dispositor. You want to look at doing stuff. There's a couple different ways of doing final dispositorship in your own chart, by the way. And this is a good homework assignment for you, for those learning astrology wanting to do it. Now, there's dignity. There's all different types, from Hellenistic to medieval astrology to doing rating systems and conditions of planets in your chart and the final strongest planet. But let's keep it real simple for one thing. Just go look to your own chart and go look to your rising sign and find the rising sign in your chart. And then go look to the ruler of the rising sign, and then just keep following it, and then see what ends up being final dispositorship. And sometimes we have charts that are complicated where we don't really have one. It kind of goes back and forth between two, and there's certain techniques you have to see what you think, and what, because it's your chart, what final dispositorship is, okay? All right, so saying that, let's start over. The moon goes into Taurus pretty much here at 2:42 p.m. Pacific on Monday, May 6th. Moon's going to square Pluto, by the way. It's already doing it at this point, right? We just had Pluto station retrograde last Thursday. I didn't do a video on this because I was dealing with my own Pluto stuff and dealing with life. But we're making a note here. Pluto is going to square the moon's going to square Pluto. All right. So then we go to, I would say, the next aspect, and it's what I wanted to point out. It's pretty much here. We'll do it this way. I think I had it. There we go. I had it this way. So here we have a Mercury-Chiron conjunction for the 3rd time since Mercury entered Aries. It seems like forever ago, right? So, and actually, in the notes, let's say when that happened. I'm looking at my calendar here. Mercury entered Aries on March 10th of 2024, okay? And so we have been dealing with Mercury since then, okay? And then, just for kicks, as I like to say, so here we have the 3rd one. Here's right there. And we like retrogrades for this reason. We like Mercury retrogrades because we know if there's certain situations in certain zones of the movement of Mercury during the retrograde, they call it shadow, whatever. At least here, we know for the 3rd time, the type of conversation that Mercury Aries is having after a whole retrograde cycle, after its connection to the eclipse, to its 2 other meetings with Chiron, basic Venus, a bunch of stuff happens, Moon. I think here that the clarity that Mercury in Aries is speaking with, this is my idealistic view, is that through everything, this is an application period for Mercury in Aries. The power in understanding wounds of Chiron and Aries, the power of the integration of that and the ongoing evolution story, if you're affected by this, where after reviewing during a retrograde, after maybe some mishaps with some of the communication or the thought processes that have to deal with Aries and Libra, by the way, and the Chiron story with the eclipse, everything, with this 3rd conjunction that happens, we would hope that Mercury's word and message to be proclaimed for oneself, for the will, the core of one's person, or the Aries itself, decisive. Now, as we know, with anything Mars ruled, and right now Mars is in Aries, as you see right here, this could be like really, literally straight to the point, like an arrow, like a sword, like a dagger or a cutting, right? But I think some of that cutting might have happened during the retrograde or in some of the other parts here in the last 2 months. But here, if you take it in a way, if we're going to think in a sense of constructive and positive and moving forward in the Aries part of your chart, this is the truth. And the truth is the good and everything, the pain and the suffering and the joy and the elation. It's everything. But we will not forget what happens in the lessons of integration of hurt and wounds and the understanding of that for ourselves, and how that propels us and how we evolve as a person, as for an Aries. Now, again, this is specific to certain people's charts. You're going to know if you're watching this, the story already. But right now, so I'm doing this video, and this week, Mercury, in a sense, is past all the Aries stuff at this point. There's nothing else to touch in Aries at this point. There's no more planets it had to go through. And after moving through Chiron, it actually could go towards the magical place that will happen here through the rest of Aries, the last 8 degrees of Aries, and then go into and touch the Taurus realm, right? And bring the story into some concreteness, into form, where the will and the spark of life that Aries carries, now with the word, after this crazy journey, scars and all, tattoos and all, sweat and tears, forged. The word is forged finally here. And hopefully the truth is forward and to the light. And in a sense, the truth is carried with the sword. And it's on front of the shield. And it's forward, right? So hopefully it's in that idealistic way. But hey, there could be situations here where, and then here comes Mercury, it's like with Chiron. So anyway, the third conjunction with Chiron happens. That officially happens at 7:26 p.m. Pacific time. That's going into the 7th for those of you who live in another universe ahead of us. So there's that. Pay attention. You got Aries moon, you got planets in Aries happening. Pay attention. Make the connections. Clear with your thoughts here. Sharp goal setting here, because remember, when we're dealing with cardinal signs, it is an initiating story. We want to have goals with cardinal signs. We want to have something to go for, especially in Aries. Okay, so I'm done talking about that. To finish up, sneaks in here, this particular transit, and let's do it. I wasn't in the plans. I have this weird, no, there. Okay, so let's do it. The sun in Taurus is going to have a sextile with Saturn, and we have to point this out because at 10:42 p.m. Pacific time, going into the 7th, the sun sextile Saturn situation is pretty much the setup for the new moon. So here's the sun at 17 degrees, and here's Saturn bringing its sense of responsibility and stableness and constructiveness and duty. And an opportunistic aspect as a sextile, not as powerful as a trine, they say sometimes, but we take it. You know me, you know my channel. I'm into the water, earth. So we take this and we're looking at this, and this is set up. And it's happening during still the balsamic phase, because if look, the moon here is at 4 degrees now at this point. We haven't had the new moon yet. So we have this. So in the secret, in the pleasant, comfortable cave of Taurus, moons of Taurus here, balsamic phase, we're chill. Maybe there's a fire season for you to make some tea, some stuff that you cooked that was fresh, organic from the dirt, that's soothing and calm. Maybe it's peppermint tea or something, right? Chamomile tea. I don't know. Put something in the comments. I don't know. What would you do with a balsamic Taurus moon that's in the sun that's connecting to Saturn and Pisces water signs? It's got water and earth. What would you do in a chill place before the new moon? Okay, you put it in the comments. So that's what you have here. You have this setup because pretty much it is the setup in the pretty major aspect that is involved with the new moon. Okay, so that happens at 10:42 p.m. Sun sextile Saturn, and let's just do it. Do I have this set up already? I do. There's the new moon here at May 7th, Tuesday Pacific time, 8:20. And we have this chart, and it looks pretty simple, right? And actually, let me turn this off. Go blank. You could see, by the way, here I've been doing some extra stuff with a lot of spirit and fortune, like some of us do, because I got something planning down the line. Hey, AV, Anna here at M. Good to see you. CC99. Wild Magi says CBD. CBD with the meditative video. Some trickling water fountain-y thing by the river sound with some CBD. Yeah, actually, that's good. And then mud bath sounds nice, Mandy says. Have a mineral clay mud bath, Anna here, M says. Oh, Mandy, I might make beef stew for my family. Damn, that sounds good, actually. But yeah, so here we are at the new moon. You see here, it's actually happening right into 18 degrees. Remember, 17 degrees. We already had sun sextile the moon, sun or Saturn. It's still, this is it, because here it's 17 degrees. It is the tightest aspect here to the sun and moon here. And here, I think this isn't about ruckus going on. I look at this, if you can manipulate the situation, as in control your environment as best as possible, that you take with the chill balsamic thing and you still bring it in to this new moon. And we want Saturnian groundedness. There's the sense of like obligation that Saturn brings to the vision that is been involved. And remember, a lot of these planets in Aries and in Taurus, they all went through Saturn. They all went through Neptune, right? And when we had Mars in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, Mercury and all that, remember, they also had sextile connections with all the Taurus stuff, with pretty much Jupiter and Uranus, okay? So we have to try to remember the things. It's not, the eclipse story isn't all effed up, that there was some other things for us to use. I mean, think about the eclipse. We had a major, it was right there, we had Mars-Saturn conjunction in Pisces. That was pretty much part of the eclipse. Okay, so anyway, here we are, and Saturn is pretty much tight sextile with this. We want to be chill. We want to we're kind of bringing the overview and the meditative qualities that we kind of did through the balsamic phase, and it carries over into the new moon. And I think this is it could be a very mellow, and I would think you would want it to be, a very mellow Saturnian new moon. Usually, when you throw the word Saturnian to a Saturnian situation to something, it doesn't seem mellow. But I think here, because of the way earth and water combined, that you want it to be. And if there is still a seriousness to all this, it's okay to be that way. It doesn't just have to be dramatic. It actually can be a different type of serious, a very like a productive serious, and not even actually. Let me clear that word out. I'm sick, at least for this stream, I have to erase the productive word that I just used with this, because it's not even about being productive, because god damn, do we have to constantly be productive, right? It seems like we got to produce, got to deal with all this time shit all the time. You have this and that, what we're dealing with our lives. And I think here it's anti-production. Now I said that, it's anti-production. It's like, it's new, and we get to be in our sacred garden, our Pisces Taurus connection, right? And it's not rushed. So we could take the types of Saturn stuff that it involves with the step-by-step process, but it's not even step-by-step. We're not rushing. We're kind of at a standstill here. And that's okay. It's okay that we're like that. It's okay that we let things go in the last month with the eclipse cycle or during the balsamic phase here before we get into the moon. It's okay. And it doesn't have to be, at this point, a dramatic letting go. We already have. Or if you do it, it's like, all right, I'm going to let that go. And so you do that. Again, I think integrating with nature, with the pacing of Saturn, but also the pacing of Venus and Taurus. And so, we're looking at the ruler here, Venus, of the sun and moon. And Venus and Taurus, they're not going to want to move fast either, right? They're just not. And it's cool. It's like, nah, I'm going to sit here on the couch. I'm going to sit here in the dirt and work on my, pull the weeds, Let's say you got family, friends, pets, just kind of chilling together where so you're eating together, you sit on the couch together, it's all comfy. But there's a sense of renewal because we're in the midpoint of the season here, between seasons, regardless of what hemisphere you're in. So that's the kind of vibe I'm looking at, Mandy, good to see you, by the way. I see you in chat. Says, repot my plants. Oh, I just caught that. Eat good food. See, Mandy's already doing it. Have good sex. Okay, yeah. How did I, wait a second. How the fuck did I forget that? Then take a bath and go to bed. That's what, quote unquote, I would do. Mandy, maybe I should copy and paste what you wrote and just change the title to my video of that and just see what the fuck happens. If people care. Like, hey, what are you doing? What's the new moon about this week? Longtime viewer of the Sparkles of Gold channel says. So, yeah, sex is good. Hey, if you don't have anybody to do that with too, man. I got my identity on YouTube. Some of the things I talk about, like, it gets me into trouble, in good trouble, but I don't want the trouble. And let me stop here for a second. I have to. This is part of my new moon thing here too, because this is a big new moon for me. You got to respect the game. You have to respect the game. The game is me. Now, I'm saying this to myself. I have to respect myself, which means I have to be me. I also have to protect myself and my privacy with boundaries, and I have to be me. So when I say comments like I just did, that's me. I'm going to do it. At the same time, I shouldn't have to worry if I say comments like that or if I do that because normally I wouldn't care. But I've had things happen to me here for the last year because of this channel and because of who I am publicly as an astrologer. And I come across genuine. I also always talk about having to keep my privacy and to be straight up. But I'll be straight up with all of you. Some people have crossed the boundaries trying to come into my world. It's something I shouldn't talk about in this way, but I don't care at this point because we're talking about the lunation. So it's a personal note. You got to respect me. And what I mean by that is don't cross any boundaries. Don't try not to put me in a position where I'm, as a professional astrologer, I have to do some stuff here to basically wall situations out. And I've had to do that I won't say how many times in the last year. And so I've questioned myself of should I be as honest as I am or free flowing? Let's say I'm talking about sexuality or money or power or politics. I haven't even jumped on the politics thing yet. I could. My subscriber limit would completely quadruple if I do, especially this year. I could do it. I might do it in my own way, but do you feel me here? I want to feel like I can be me, but I need to have my boundaries and be respected. You might not like who I am. You can't stand me. You might unsubscribe. Many have. I don't care. What I care about is if there is going to be an interaction online. You got to be careful trying to slide into my DMs. It's like how it happens. And so I manage it. I've been balancing it correctly. But I've had situations where it's been a complete disregard for my boundaries. In a sense, you're not respecting the game, right? So that's all I'm going to say. It's part of my new moon ritual now. It's turned into that. And to go back to how I started talking about this with the incredible comment that Mandy left. We got a couple Mandys in chat, by the way. We got a couple Mandys here. So the Sheila is the one about the potting and the sex and all that. Yeah, do it. And if you can't do it, God damn, it was Beltane the other day. It's just consider it Beltane time. If you need to get in touch with the fertility of life and whatever it is, whether it's with your sexuality, with somebody else, or it's you doing that and planting stuff in the garden at the same time, be you. You know I'm all for it. You know I'm going to say it out loud. Just respect the game. So that's it right there. With Venus and Mars being where they are, with an 18-degree lunation. Special shout out to my Taurus and Scorpio risings or my suns or all that have known the eclipse story when you did it here, because this is a great lunation for you all. You're like shedding the skin here for 2 years, and you got it. I think this is it. It's like graduation. And Saturn gets to help you out being in part of this lunation. And the amazing thing is that Venus is in their domicile where they belong in Taurus, where they feel the best. And so is Mars. And so, you know, we dig this. We know, too, that farther down the line, I won't talk about any other transits here, but we know that pretty much more energy coming in. Venus is going to sextile eventually. You see this. Venus is eventually going to hit the Saturn point of 17 degrees and sextile it, right? So that's coming. Mars is going to have certain aspects that are going to happen. We're going to have the sun eventually in Taurus hit 25 degrees, and we're going to have a Uranus-Sun conjunction next week. So, you know, and then it goes. Venus will go into Taurus, and we have a kaboom happening with with the pretty much the full moon that's going to happen on the 23rd. If you watch my Mars and Aries in my video, my Venus and Taurus video, you will see some of this stuff, especially huge weekend, because we have a full moon in Sag. We have Venus-Jupiter conjunction that happens. We have Jupiter 2 days later going into Gemini, so on and so forth. I will be at a conference that weekend. I probably might see a couple of you there. That is what's up. That is my test. I'm in a temporary space, as you can see here, a different one, as I always am, as a Mercury run person. I'm always in between and going from here to there. This is not permanent, but I pulled off a stream, and I'm only 35 minutes. I'm going to have the shortest stream. Let me check in on chat. Palmer Paints, what's up? Mystic Gardener, I tune in because of your honesty. Thank you. Yeah, and I want to stay that way. I gotta, this Mercury and Gemini, man, sometimes it just comes out. Nebula, as a woman who likes to discuss the topic, it does bring a certain attention that I need to be wary of. Yeah, and I will also say that, you know, I've made mistakes in my life as a straight dude, you know, because we all do it. I'm always learning. I'm just trying to understand the world that come in, and the hierarchy, the patriarchy, the stuff that's embedded in somebody like me. And I'm never going to be perfect. I just try to be as self-aware as possible. At the same time, I don't want to lose who I am as a man, as a person, of being honest. And there's a balance and wisdom through life that comes through something like that. And it's something I'm always navigating. But I tell you, I made some fuck ups in my life with, you know, stuff. But at the same time, for me, of me trying to do things, what I'm saying is, there's times when I've heard people, especially women, and have had their boundaries crossed, whether they're walking down the street or they're doing whatever. I don't even come close to what you all experience, but I had a taste of when people, and it's not just like the dynamic, it could be anybody towards me. I've had, again, weird stuff happen to me. So, you know, I get a taste of what that is, and it sucks. I wish it wasn't that way, but at times one has to proclaim things or set the boundaries, and then there's other things that one has to do, unfortunately. But it's like, my world is sacred, you know. Your world is sacred. So if you got situations like that, you have to do that, and you have to bring in the tools to help you. And at the same time, it's like, come on, y'all, like, doesn't have to be that way. So, Darlene, good to see you. Linda, hello. Linda says, just woke up from a great dream. Catching it live. You're catching your dream live? Are you still dreaming? It's live. It's stay in the dream world. This other world, stay in the dream world. All right, y'all. All right, that's the deal. Thanks for hanging with me on my live stream test. You could see that it's not normal, but the sound and the visual came in. I got to get back to work, and I have a lot of unpacking to do. I didn't think I was going to do a live stream until June, but I had the itch today because I had to set up my equipment for something else. This Patreon members watching, I'm about to put up a video here later for my Patreon members just to check in. I haven't done an audio podcast in a while. That's on the books here for whatever. I'm going to be at a conference at the end of the month. I'm trying to get gear together. The reason is I'm going to try to get as many interviews as I can at this conference. All right. The other thing I want to tell you is, and I'm going to pull this up right now because it's a promo and I have to do it. It's the conference I'm going to, and it's the NORWAC conference. It's just outside of Seattle. You can see it. Oh, welcome to NORWAC, Northwest Astrological Conference. I've been volunteering, working, and all types of stuff there. Great story, great heritage of a woman-run a conference that's been at the forefront of astrology. A lot that's happened here at this conference. And, and good things and tougher things, but the way conferences are done, and I think helped others, and also has to try to create sort of the best space you can for the changes that have happened in the astrology world. But this conference in itself has always had a situation where, because it was started by Laura's mom, Maggie, and Greg running the bookstore for all those years too, and shout out to Greg, but where, it used to be that were mostly women in the audience and men teaching at conferences, and they changed with them. They changed it where it's always 50-50, and they brought in, if you go look at the lineup, let's just go look it up right now. Here is, lineup. You could see, basically, when you look, you have a wide range of astrologers from different types of astrology in different cultures and backgrounds. And then, listen, stuff can always be better, but honestly, like Janelle out of New York, amazing acupuncturist and astrologer. She's going to be speaking there. Celeste, as you know, Ryan Butler, a homie of mine, he's going to be there. He's actually doing an incredible workshop there. If you can go take a look at the workshops, if you're into astrological magic, he's got a great one there. He's talking twice. There's Frank. By the way, Frank, you can go to my Bookshop page. He's got all these little pamphlet books that he's made, but his Solar Arc book and his Midheaven book are like one of my favorites. I'll throw that. There's Faye Cochran, Austin's going to be there. He's doing a huge pre-conference workshop on the Thursday that has to do on Ficini and the 3 books of life, which is amazing if you're into that stuff. I'm really psyched for that. This conference is sold out in person, okay? But it's a hybrid, so people can watch online. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up is because sometimes in between the lecture times, we're going to have Q&As with astrologers who are speaking there for the online people only. So Laura Labandian, who runs the conference, and myself, who asked to help, I'm helping her. I'll be facilitating those Q&As, and we're creating breakout rooms, and you get to talk to an astrologer that you want at that period for like 30 minutes. And this is only for the online people. So that is happening. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. You could see here on the Thursday that Austin's doing his pre-conference workshop. You can't be there in person. Again, if you're into Ficino, you've been doing the 3 books of life, which is an incredible book. I'm in the middle of it too slowly, is great. But then you could see on Friday, we have the pre-conference lectures. There's Ryan's lecture on magic remediation and fate, astrological magic. What else do you want? I mean, this whole lineup. Demetra George, mixed planetary condition. Kira is an amazing medical astrologer. And Patricia Walsh, coming from the evolutionary world, and definitely has past life regression work and therapy work. Amazing. But you could see here that then the regular lectures start, but in between we have these breaks, and these are the things I'll be facilitating on during the conference. So, if you're going to be online doing this, you'll see my face. I'll get to chat in a second. Gustavo, ¿cómo estás, huh? How are you? Good to see you in chat. Thank you, Gustavo. Are you a River fan or a Boca fan? Anyway, or maybe you're another team. So anyway, there's that. and it keeps going. Now, when we get to Saturday, there's actually a couple night owl lectures on the Friday night. But when we get to Saturday, we got a wild one here. I'm psyched for. I don't know if you know who Christopher Renstrom is, old friend. He's actually doing a keynote lecture on Sailor Moon. And for those who know the anime Sailor Moon cartoon, there's many people out there who were introduced to astrology through Sailor Moon because of the characters represent each sign. It's wild. So anyway, there's that. But we keep going. But here's Saturday night, and you will see here. I don't even know how many people are in chat. I don't even see what's going on. Wait, let's see. I got 35 people watching. Okay, so hey, Astral Omens, what's up? Lily 899, hello. But you could see here on Saturday night, the keynote lecture is always fun and amazing, and Frank's going to be talking. But then there's a dance party that happens for the in-person people only. But pretty much from the last part of the keynote that ends at 8:30, 8:45, from that point on, I kind of was given access to the online thing. And basically, I'm going to be trying for at least an hour and a half to see how long it goes. I'm going to be trying to pull people who are in person live conversations, kind of like how I do now. And I asked, hey, can I do this? And Laura said, yeah, you could do it. And so for those online, they're going to have a little kind of get together for, their version of a party for those attending the online part of NORWAC. And then I think maybe an hour, we'll see how long it goes. We'll see who's willing to sit with me at the table and just talk about life and astrology and whatever. And that's for the online. So that's what's going on with me there. The other thing I'm going to say is that I'm also going to be there in one sense. Whoa, did I just do this? Yeah, that's from my last stream. Some of you know or not, I work behind the scenes for ISAR. It's a major astrology organization that has an amazing history and has been going through transition in the last year and a half. Their members are going to be at the conference. We're going to have a table there. And we might have NCGR, AFAN. They have a sparkling water and stuff, and people just hang out, and the orgs representing themselves. Well, ISAR is going to do this here. I think it's going to be on a Friday night, which so if you're at the conference there in person, I will be there helping, and supporting the board members to run this and to welcoming people in. If you are new in the astrology world and you're going to be there in person, please, if you see me, respect the game and my boundaries, which I know you will. But if you're going to be there, you come up and say hi to me, introduce yourself, tell me who you are, and I'll probably tell you to go buy a certain book in a bookstore or come up to go to one of the parties that's going to happen at the conference. One thing that's very important for me in my time in the astrology world, which has been filled with landmines and glorious moments with my colleagues, like everything, just like what humans do together in groups, is that I always have felt a personal connection to those who are entering the astrology world, regardless of age, and who are studying. And when I run into people at conferences in person, like to get to know who they are for the time that I have, for the Mercury and Gemini time that I have, which could only be 2 minutes or an hour, but to understand where one is, and if they're in or a person or something, and they'll say something to me, and I'm lucky. This is my whole life has been like this. I just have knowledge, in certain situations happen to me where I'm like, oh, can't believe you just said that, because I just talked to somebody about half an hour ago that was talking exactly like the way you were, and I want to introduce you to them. Or the thing that you're talking about, I know 2 books in the bookstore that you can go buy, where Greg's running a bookstore, where it's totally dialed into where you are, right? Or you're looking for what room? It's over there. So pretty much I'm a walking crossroads person, and it just comes naturally to me. So whenever I run into people in situations where, let's say, they didn't know anybody and they're a stranger and they had the courage enough to go to a conference or go to a get-together, right, or something, and because they love astrology or they love the occult world, the tarot, whatever, and they run into me, I run into them, and when the magic happens, I'll point you in the right direction. And, because for me, I remember what it was to not know anybody in that world or this world, and it was cool. I was cool with it, but to be a stranger, or to be welcomed, or to be run into strangers, regardless of age and gender or whatever, that I would never thought I would ever talk to, but I did because of the commonality of astrology. Even if we practiced different astrology, that we were speaking the code, the language, the sacred language together. And so for me, that means everything, right? Besides my personal practice, I take pride in that. So if you happen to be there in person, that's great. If not, buy in on the conference. You don't have to do the whole weekend. You could do one of those workshops. You could do one of the days. Or if there is something, a piece of knowledge that you're looking for, you hit me up through the right formal ways here, on my links here down below, and I'll tell you where to go. Okay. So, it's time for me to go. Yeah, I'm looking at chat. Bianca M. Going to NORWAC next year. The hotel rooms are gold because they sell out, and then you have to stay somewhere else outside the hotel. Yeah. K. Michelle's working on the courage to go to NORWAC, not knowing anyone. Not easy for an introvert. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, and I get it. I totally get it, But it's funny what happens within the first 24 hours there, because you'll meet fellow introverts. Things happen. It's weird in your own way, right? And so, but I totally get it. I understand it. All right, it's time for me to go. Thanks for hanging. I got to change the title of my stream. Maybe make a couple chapter markers and eat and get on with my life. Enjoy the balsamic part here of the moon until Tuesday, and enjoy the new moon. And I'll see you all soon. I'll go out with some music. Follow your spider senses, Earth Star says. You may have to use your wing. I'm always using my wings. Heartbeat. My wings never stop. That's the problem. COVID made my wings stop in a different way. It was good for me, but I'm over it. Elena, love that. Angela, you're welcome. All right, y'all. Actually, I'm going to fade out with my old graphic. Because the new moon's connected. This new moon's at 18 degrees, right? We had the conjunction, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction at 21. Yeah, let's do it like this.